Day-to-day life for me, the new adventure every day. I've got a 4-year-old little boy and a brand new 5-month-old little boy too. Add on top of that, the joys of running a business and the things that come with that, for better or for worse. The maintaining my workout regimen. Day-to-day life is pretty jam-packed, but I try to get the most out of it.
2 years from now, John, Mark Prewitt, and I are going to find ourselves in Nepal. We'll be there on a blue sheep hunting expedition. John Mark will be the hunter. I'll be tagging along. 2 years sounds like a lot of time to prepare for a hunt. But when you think about what's going on in that hunt, 2 years is not a lot of time. We'll be hiking anywhere from 14 to 16,000 feet every day while we hunt. We have like a 4-day hike in before we even get to where we're going to hunt. Our boots will be frozen every day. Our water bottles will be frozen every morning when we wake up. So there's a lot of physical and mental preparation that goes into something like this. Now, the thing is, John Mark is a busy dude. He has a family. He has a successful business, and his time is very constrained. So we're starting the process so early because we need to spread out our preparation so much for him. Part of that preparation is taking a yearly trip. This year, we went to Crested Butte, Colorado, to backpack, to hike, and to fly fish.
Jim, what do you hope to get out of the next few days on this trip?
Fun, exercise, peace and quiet. This past year has probably been one of the more challenging from an aspect of actually being able to put things down. So this trip that we just went on was my first really put down in an entire year. It was something that was really beneficial for me from a mentality standpoint. Came back to work refreshed, came back home refreshed. And so I think that there is a lot of value in putting stuff down and walking away.
Remember what we were talking about earlier?
The line.
You're casting a line. And so get a little bit out. And then when you're holding it, it's kind of like, almost like a golf club. Back. And you see how this drag isn't set very tight. So it's snap. See how I'm just snap. The whole 10 and 2 thing I think is a little bit of a myth because I'm stopping. If you look, I'm stopping more like 12. And then it depends on how far you want to cast, you know.
And then the longer you've got it, the more
you have to wait.
Yeah. All right, so you get some pretty good distance out of that.
Yeah, I mean, that's 30 yards right there. And I don't think anywhere that we're going to be fishing here, like, you're going to have to worry about casting that far. JM, was sitting in the middle of a cattle drive on your bingo card?
Was not. Came to Colorado to find more cows. Yeah, I didn't expect to leave Texas and go to the Colorado wilderness and to end up in the middle of a couple hundred head of cattle. That was a little disappointing. Whoever's making laws in Colorado should really listen to this and probably go in a different direction rather than sending campers and unsuspecting hikers up into the mountains with cattle who are leaving cow shit everywhere the eye can see. There was certainly some fun, as has been well documented by Todd, with his dog rolling around in some cow patties.
Like 5-something at the end of day 1. And what
Easy day.
Well, the hiking was easy. We did get ourselves into a bit of a rodeo, so we were
quite literally.
Yeah, close to it. Yeah. So we stopped here to rest and maybe figure out what we were going to do. As we did that, we hear cowboys calling to their cows, and then they have a cattle drive come on through.
See, what happens during a cattle drive is there's fresh cow shit. Now, as the cows are moving through, we hear a storm coming. So we're like, oh man, we should set up the tent, set up the tarp, have some cover.
It made some sense.
Right. The plan was effective. But as we're setting up the tent, I look to my left and I see my dog start to roll. My dog doesn't do that. She doesn't roll. Well, she does now. And she rolled directly into a big old fresh pile of cow shit. After the cattle drive, Ruth decided that she would roll in fresh cow shit. It's not even close to the worst of it. Got some of it off, got her in the stream, and then it started raining, so we had to cover our shit. She managed to get some on my leg. We gotta get back in the creek, don't we, Toots? You're not happy about it. Neither am I. Never. You ask us what we did in the backcountry, and I'd never thought the answer would be clean cow shit off my dog and myself in the middle of the stream. But that's what we've done for the past couple hours. Clean cow shit off of dogs and people.
Jim, why don't you tell the people what you did?
I just caught the biggest fish.
That's actually true. That's 100% true. So I caught 2 little cutthroats. There's a nice little hole comes out of a run down below camp here, and so we just started there. I was teaching JM some stuff, and I caught one on the first cast, one on the second cast, and I said, JM, get in here. And the first cast that he had that went into the hole, he hooked a nice brown trout. That thing was probably 14 inches. And pull it in. Don't worry about your reel. No. Pull your line. Pull your line. Pull your line. That's a nice one. Keep pulling it.
Okay.
Hey, bud, that's a good little trout. Come here. That's a brown. Hey, bud, that's a nice brown trout. Look at you. Look at you. Dude, that's a nice brown.
That's pretty sweet. Learning fly fishing, this is my second time to learn to cast a fly rod. The first time was over 20 years ago at a summer camp. And I remember, getting to a point where I could cast that fly rod pretty well. And so I came into this trip thinking, no big deal, I got this. And I knew it'd take some time to bust the rust off, but that first day we got out there and started casting a fly rod, I became quite frustrated with myself. To somebody who thrives on achievement and success and performance, that was a really difficult, humbling pill to swallow, that I looked, dumb and, very frustrated and fumbling all over the place with a fly rod. And so, that first day that we really got into the river, and Todd had assured me the day before that there was a fish in that hole. And we went over there and caught some fish out of that hole. And I ended up catching my first trout in moving water out of that pool. And it was a lot of fun, even though, I fumbled around and fiddled around to hook that fish and land him and release him.
It was really cool to see him start to embrace fly fishing, because he, at first, he got a little frustrated with the casting process, and it seemed like he wasn't going to have fun with it. But I knew once he caught his first fish, he would be in. And so watching him catch his first fish on the fly rod and have him bring it in, and just watching his demeanor change and get into it and realize that it was so much fun. And then actually hearing him talk about how it felt meditative. It just, the presence of just working on your rhythm, making sure your fly goes where you want it to, and how much it helped him shut off and decompress.
Casting that fly rod, I found myself so consumed in the rhythm and the cast, and that I just really kind of let go of everything. And that, casting a fly rod as a stress management tool, I never thought would be something I would use, but now I truly look forward to using it and going on to on future trips that will allow me to to mix hunting and fishing.
We got caught in an afternoon high country rainstorm. We improvised a tent placement, and we're sitting underneath it just waiting for the storm to pass. Ruth has the best seat in the house. Snug as a bug in a rug, just sleeping down there. Well, it's just somebody telling us to slow down, take a little more time.
My favorite part of the trip was a pretty weird part of the trip. It was we had a plan on the second day to go back further into the backcountry in the wilderness area that we were in, and we did that. And so we were about 4.5, 5 miles in, and we got to this big opening that we were really excited about. We were really hoping to get in there and catch some fish, and it was like a muddy, sewer drain of water. It was nasty. It was shallow, and everything was dry up there. And so when we were up there, we just started thinking, well, should we go further back and see if anything changes, or should we just move back on down? And so Todd and I started really thinking about what the right call should be. And ultimately made the decision that, hey, yeah, we just hiked back here 2.5 miles with 50, 60 pounds on our back, whatever it was. But we're just going to go right back to where we came from because it's not where we want to be. And as we decided that, we said, okay, well, we've got to, we know we've got to go somewhere else. So we sat down and made some lunch. And just as we were finishing that lunch, storm cloud rolled in unexpectedly. And we had to make a really quick decision about how we were going to hunker down and ride out that storm. And within about 30 seconds, Todd and I were able to make a call, build some shelter, and then the bottom fell out of that rain cloud with thunder, lightning, hail. And so, while that may not have been the best thing that happened to us on the trip, it was my favorite part because we made decisions on the fly and decisions that, were the right ones. And so I think that, good decision making and working through an issue somewhere that you're remote is that was a lot of fun and just, something that I enjoyed. Todd, where are we?
We are fucking the West Elk Wilderness, currently filtering water out of Willow Creek, about, I don't know, 4 some miles back in. We're trying to go farther, but it looks like the stream is just kind of flat and gross the whole way. There's no elevation change. Water looks mostly kind of stagnant and warm, so I don't think there's gonna be any goddamn fish. So we are getting some water because we're out, and we're gonna turn around and head back to Coal Creek, where we know that there are rainbows, browns, and cutthroats because we've been catching all of them. So that's what we're gonna do. So we got ourselves into a bit of a rodeo the past couple of days. So we're calling an audible. We're right now sitting at the Rocky Mountain Motel in Paonia, Colorado. And yesterday we had 2 Mexican standoffs with cattle in a wilderness area. Got caught in a hailstorm. Of course, we talked about my dog rolling in shit and having to clean that up. And so we did about 9 miles over the past 2 days, and we're gonna switch focus to not worrying about having nature hikes, and we're just gonna go fish. I have some good spots picked out on the map that I'm not gonna talk to you about right now because I'm not a spot burner. It's not who I am. So we're gonna go do that today, spend the next couple of days doing that, stay in Crested Butte, and use the rest of the trip to turn it more into a refresh and mental restoration kind of deal instead of burning ourselves in a wilderness area. So that's
Next day was a day that a friend of ours, Trey Sparing, knew of a high alpine lake that he put us on, and that, frankly, the thought of getting there was very exciting, but also a little nerve wracking because we were gonna get up to 11.5 where the lake stood, and so in addition to not being the most confident fly fisherman, I was also worrying about how prepared I was to hike at altitude over several miles. And when we got up there, the hike was easier than expected, and and then when started casting the fly rod, it's like that 20 years of ago, that 20-year prior experience. It just really kind of clicked and set in from the past few days of practicing and trying to better myself. I tend to hunt with guys that are a lot taller than me, and trying to keep up with them is a challenge. And so, getting to work with Todd on some of that allowed me to learn some new techniques and just try to settle into my frame and my body and move in a way that my personal capacity would allow me to effectively over time. From a mental standpoint, it's always nice to be able to put yourself in challenging positions ahead of really needing to execute, so that you know how you're going to perform. And, knowing that we're going to Nepal in 2028 and we're going to be at 16,000 feet plus for a good portion of the trip, us getting into 10,000, 11,000, foot elevation, and me being able to handle it from a lung capacity, cardio perspective, it was a big boost of confidence to know that I'm headed in the right direction.
But it was really great to see his confidence when we were at elevation and he felt good, because a lot of his hunts, they weren't quite that high. They were grinders, but they weren't quite that high. But seeing his confidence when he got up there. And another thing to keep in mind is that, you continue to expand confidence by getting the reps in and getting in the volume. And so trips like this where they just get you under your weight more, they get you going uphill, and not necessarily at the intensity that you might experience on another hunt. It's just more time out there, and the volume of that really starts to accrue and starts to really change you as a person, as a hunter. And really it's kind of all encompassing, but it comes from volume. And if everything you do is just brutally intense, it's hard to handle the volume. And then it's also hard to transition back into regular life. Like, I didn't want him to come back from this trip and, not have the energy to get home and take his boy out on Saturdays like he usually does, and to be able to come home and be present with his wife and his other son. And so it was the perfect combination of everything that he needed. And I was really excited to see that. And just to see the full transformation of, he was happy when I picked him up at the airport, but he was still kind of engaged with everything else in his life. And then the transition as we, started preparing our stuff to get going, when we got to the first Airbnb before we started hiking back in, we made a dinner, it was relaxing. And then the next morning we start shaking our gear down to get ready. And then we start hiking, and then we get to our first camp, and then we start fishing, and just watching it all just kind of decompress and come out, while he also gained the confidence of just spending more time outside, getting to elevation, knowing he can handle it, and then coming back refreshed and rejuvenated and ready to get back into his life.
When we got to the end of the trip, I felt pretty refreshed. I probably felt really refreshed the day before we left the trip. And the day that we were leaving, I was ready to get home. And I was ready to see my boys. I was ready to see my wife. I was ready to see everything that I'd missed over the past week. And it was a much needed mental reset, one that I need more than once a year. And it was something that really just kind of recentered me, and where I'm at in life, what's important, and allowed for me to get a way to create some space, both mentally and physically, to just enjoy where I was and appreciate what I left behind.
Heck yeah.